ahead and get started. This webinar will be recorded and it will be placed on the Industry Needs You website for anybody to use who may need assistance and wants to know more about Partners for Success. Today we're going to talk about 6 different partnerships that are very important to your apprenticeship and the future of your apprenticeship program and how it can sustain itself. So before we get started on the webinar in and of itself and the elements that are being included, I'd like to have Sue Watson, who's a project coordinator and support for this particular project, do a roll call based on what we received from everybody as far as their attendance for today. So Sue, if you could do that, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let's see. Marianne Belay.
I'm here.
Thank you. Tricia Myers. Melissa Clyde. Kyle Crawley. Harold Heibach.
Here.
Hi. Sean Jones. Denise Villanueva. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. The only thing I would ask is that as we're going through the webinar, if you could keep your phone on mute until there's something that you want to say or participate in, that would be really helpful as far as keeping the background noise under control. So our agenda for today is to go through our webinars for the employer's purpose, talk about partners and the 6 partnerships for success. We'll do some sharing, and then we will have a Q&A. The webinars for employers is one of the metrics that we have put together for our grant. This is the last planned webinar. We are in the 4th year of our grant. We have 1 more year left on the grant. It starts October 1. That would be the beginning of the 5th year. But the reason we have these webinars is to keep open lines of communication, to learn from one another and be able to share best practices, to be proactive in the Department of Labor compliance record keeping, and to provide the best opportunities for our apprentice successes. So these are the partnerships that we're going to talk about today. And we've been very fortunate in our grant to be able to have good partnerships that have allowed us to have successes with the employers so that they could put their apprenticeship programs together. The apprenticeship network staff is the integral part of the communications that exist for this particular grant with you as the employers, and being able to communicate with apprentices and with other partners to make sure that their success. So this is your apprenticeship network staff. I think that all of you have probably had some communications with some or all of the people that are part of this network staff. There are others that are behind the scenes as well that sometimes get involved, but these are those that are most often involved with you as you go through your apprenticeship program. And so we wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to see this screen, because as you move along in your apprenticeship program, we wanted you to see who it is that you may be reaching out to. So Jessica Borza, the Executive Director of the Mahoning Valley Manufacturing Coalition, of course, she is our overall project lead on this project. I act as the project manager. I'm Vicki Thompson. Megan Wagner Ingram, some of you may have had some dealings with Megan, but she mostly works with our PA partners. I and Jessica mostly work with Ohio partners. Sue Watson is our project coordinator and administrative support for this project. So she's heavily involved with the paperwork and with assisting in getting events and things ready that we participate in for the grant. Jerica Johnson is project support, and she is typically the person that you're speaking with when it's time to put your paperwork into play. If you're taking advantage of the group sponsored model, she's the person who puts your apprentices into the RAPID system, and she also works closely with Sue to look at reimbursement when that's time to to remind all of you that it's time for reimbursement. Eric Carmacy works for West Central Job Partnership, who wrote the grant with MVMC. He acts as our fiscal agent, and he also is the person that speaks to employers about reimbursement eligibility and where your reimbursement paperwork goes. State apprenticeship offices, you're most likely involved with them if you're doing your time-based or an individual apprenticeship program. So on the Ohio side, we have Patrick Reardon, who's the program administrator for the Ohio Apprenticeship Council, and Eric Hetzel, who's the account executive for the counties of the footprints in Ohio for the apprenticeship. And then on the PA side, we have Eric Ramsey, who's the director of apprenticeship and training in the Commonwealth of PA, and James Reese, who is the apprenticeship and training field representative that we work with. And so these are your state apprenticeship offices. We have been very fortunate in having representatives that have worked very well with us and helped us in all of the questions that we've asked. And just as an example, so in your group sponsor model, we provide the paperwork to the state acting as the sponsor, but for those of you on individual and time-based, you're typically dealing with Eric Hetzel or James Reese, depending on what state that you're in. And what we have found is that they've been very easy for us to work with. So a few months ago, we did have an MVMC meeting where there were a couple members who wanted a modification to the machining standards of apprenticeship. I was able to work with Eric Hetzel, and so those are in the works right now as far as that being approved, and we expect to hear any day now, but he made it very simple for us to put together the modification for that. And so really grateful to have the state apprenticeship offices be so open to working with us so easily. The workforce development boards have been involved since the very beginning. So they were an integral part of pre-apprenticeship especially. And now that we're winding down and getting toward the end of the grant, we're also reaching out to them to help us with additional funding for on-the-job training parts of your apprenticeship program. And so we've reached out to every one of the people that is listed on this page of the PowerPoint presentation, and they know that we're interested in learning more about how we can sustain the work that we're doing and providing on-the-job training dollars to the employers that are involved. So these names represent the 5 area workforce boards that are involved in our grant. And as we move along with the grant and we get to the end of the grant and hit the 6th year, we'll be reaching out to employers to let you know what kind of programs are available and being able to sustain the grant. And I apologize, the name, the bottom right name is supposed to be Janet Anderson, so there's a typo there. But Janet Anderson is the person who is the Northwest PA representative. The education providers, as you know, you can use both brick and mortar and online for your apprenticeship. And the education providers are a partner that is very important because they are the ones who are going to be providing the related technical instruction to your apprentices. And so it's very important to have a good relationship with them to be able to keep track of where your apprentice is as they move along in their apprenticeship. And it's especially important if you're part of the group-sponsored model and the competency-based reimbursement or the competency-based apprenticeship, because your education provider and those instructors should be working closely with the people who are the mentors or serve with your apprentices to make sure that their competencies are moving along in a pathway the way that they should be. So it's vitally important that that relationship has a good communication, an open line of communication that exists throughout the livelihood of the apprenticeship programs that you have. So the brick and mortar, we know that we currently are utilizing career and technical centers, post-secondary CTCs, community colleges and universities, and then we have online providers such as National Tooling and Machining Association, Tooling U SME, and even universities can provide parts of the related technical instruction online. And I wanted to bring that up because I know that we've not talked a lot about universities' involvement, but we did have an employer approach us the other day asking if some of the universities could provide some of the online, such as some the math courses and those kind of things. And that can that's definitely something that can be done. So just keep in mind who your education providers are and how they can be utilized. On the Ohio side of the house, we say as long as they're a member of or part of the University Systems of Ohio, which means that they would be one of the public schools, that they're automatically on the list. We just have to make sure that if you go with a proprietary school, that we can make sure that we can get them approved. And then on the PA side, it's a little simpler. Typically what happens is the education provider has to write a letter to the state letting them know that they do have the education courses that are necessary for the related technical instruction. Internal resources would be the resources that you have within your organization that can help with the success of your apprenticeship program. So usually your leadership and officers are those that are going to be championing what's going on in your organization as far as apprenticeship, and then your human resource person is typically who we're working pretty closely with on paperwork and when we get to reimbursement. But we know that the facilities supervisor or manager can play just as an important role. We know that on so many of our meetings that we go to when we're first introducing apprenticeship programs, there's typically an HR person and a facilities or a manager involved with that process and getting it started. Because they are really the legs that keep things moving. The mentors, of course, play an important piece in your apprenticeship program because they're the ones who are working directly with you on their. I'm sorry, could you please mute your line? There's a little bit of background noise there. But the mentors are going to be the ones who are specifically working with your apprentices every step of the way to make sure that they are competent in what it is that they're learning and checking off that they're meeting those benchmarks as they move along in their apprenticeship program. And then, of course, your apprentices. Your program in and of itself would not exist without them. And so it's important to keep good lines of communications open with your apprentices to make sure that things are going well or to be able to head off any potential problems that may occur. So the employer champions, well, those are all of you because the participants participating in the grant reimbursement means that you're participating in the grant in and of itself. And what we have found through not only these webinars, but even through meetings that we've had, that the ability for you to be able to share your knowledge and make yourself available to one another has been very instrumental in the success of this grant. We know that there are a number of you that we've reached out to and asked if you're willing to talk to others who are considering apprenticeship programs or who maybe they need a piece of paperwork to help them internally, or they just need somebody to walk through what the steps are with them that speaks their language. And you have all been very helpful in allowing us to be able to do that and share your information. We actually have some employers who have actually shared paperwork, just blacked out certain things that would be confidential and told us to just go ahead and hand it off to other employers. So we know that our employer champions and all of you have been very helpful in our process with this grant. Employer champions also celebrate Apprenticeship Week. So this year it's November 12th through the 18th. So don't be surprised if we reach out to you and ask you to participate in some way so that we can put it on our social media pages and in our newsletter. But I wanted to give you some heads up on that because it'll be here before you know it. So I'm going to open this up now to the rest of you and ask you, are there particular partnerships that you think have worked well to date, and which partnerships would you like to further explore? And so Sue's sitting here with me, so if there's something you need us to take note on that you would like us to help you with as far as reaching out to particular partners, we can do that and we can make note of it. But we also want to know what partnerships have worked well for you.
This is Harold Heibach, and I know the partnerships I have with NTMA and actually the Erie County Tech School have worked very good for us and Red Dog Industries. Red Dog and PHB are kind of the same company. We're just got different names, but those partnerships have worked great for us. And we worked with Megan on the ERMP end of it, and that's worked out great with us for helping us on other things. So we're very happy with what we've been going through.
Thanks. That's really important. Sometimes we forget about that. Although NBMC took a lead on this, ERMP has been very instrumental in the area region in PA. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that because, even our other sector partnership organizations have been very helpful in making sure that they move the needle on apprenticeship. So I'm curious to know, do you happen to know between Red Dog and PHB, how many apprentices do you guys have right now?
I believe we have a total of 4. We have 2 at PHB and 2 at Red Dog. Now Red Dog's trying to sign up we'll be signing up another individual. I can't speak for them and don't know if they have the other one signed up yet.
And I know that, and was that in a specific occupation, those 4? Are they all in the same one?
Yes, they are. They're all tool and die apprentices.
Okay. And I know that actually I think your numbers are maybe even higher than that based on some of the other occupations that you guys are doing. So you guys have really been, and I know that Bill Hilbert has really been a champion for us in reaching out to others to be able to assist. And so we really do appreciate all the efforts that Red Dog and PHB have put forth. You've been very helpful for this grant.
Yes, and our machining division also has apprentices, and I believe right now they're tied up at 3 apprentices and looking to sign on 2 more very soon. I almost forgot about our machining division.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we keep Megan abreast of that situation so that she can reach out. But yeah, I think you guys are doing much better than you may even realize. I think I was looking at some numbers last night, and you guys are actually close. You're in the teens at least for the number of apprentices that you have. So you've been very involved with this grant. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Does anybody else have anything to add? Oh, go ahead.
But yes, overall, and then with the Greater Ohio Penn and stuff bringing on the awareness of apprenticeships, that's helped us out a lot also. So we can't diminish what you guys are doing on the Ohio Penn manufacturing end of it either. So, but we've had a few apprentices graduate, and that's helped us a lot also. So that makes it good for us. And you just can't find enough people anymore. So we got to train when we find a young individual that's willing to take and learn the trade, we'll do anything we can do to get them to the next level.
I'm glad you said that. It reminds me that one of the pathways we've been talking about and exploring more, and I know that there are some people that are on the line who are taking advantage of this, is the pre-apprenticeship with the high schoolers. We hear more and more about the CTEs being involved with pre-apprenticeship, and so I know that in order for a pre-apprenticeship to be considered actually accurate and, for lack of a better word, to fit the criteria, the pre-apprenticeship actually has to lead into an apprenticeship that's already established at the workplace. And I know that there are a few of you on the lines that are involved with that now. So when we talk about what kind of things have come out of the program and this particular grant, that's one of the things that's happened, is that pre-apprenticeships are now starting to come to fruition and in greater numbers than they had previously. So that's another thing that we can take with us that we're happy that we've been able to be involved in. So to that end, those of you who might be involved in the pre-apprenticeship with the high school students this summer, can you maybe talk about how that partnership has worked with the career and technical centers?
know the person that for PHB that's involved in the pre-apprenticeship program is Erin McCracken, and she is not on the line right now. She's basically got control over that pre-apprentice. I know the workforce advancement, we signed up to take a couple of those students on and pay for their training in the pre-apprenticeship program so that they can start as machinists at our machining division. So that's trying to get somebody from, you know, a job, say at a, you know, at a fast food place or a fast food chain where they be working part-time or whatever, to get into a full-time job that's got a skilled trade and they're being paid while they're going to school.
Yeah, that's great. That Work Advanced program is something that we're taking advantage of in Ohio as well, but that's absolutely right. It not only serves underrepresented populations, but it also does serve, as you just said, those who would be in what may be considered gen ed jobs. And so it gives them an opportunity to actually take advantage of training and be paid while they're taking advantage of that training so they can concentrate on it and then have a job fresh into a apprenticeship when they've completed the training. So thank you for reminding me of that. Yes, that's another great pathway. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to ask? Anybody have any questions about partnerships and how we can better utilize those for our pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs?
I'm good.
Well, then I thank you. If there are no questions, just keep in mind that we're always available. If you have any questions, you can email myself, Sue, or anybody else on the team. We will take this webinar and we'll go ahead and put it on the Industry Needs You site so that you can review it if you feel that's necessary, and we can reach out to others who weren't able to make the call today to make sure that they can look at it as well. Remember that we're here to help you with your apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship program. So if you have any questions or you need us to reach out to anybody or even help with your paperwork, we're here to do that. And so I thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.